Welcome to the Setting Up HTTPS for the ServerJockey Webapp guide. In this guide, I will show how to enable SSL encryption to make the web app use HTTPS. So currently, it's using HTTP, meaning that the data going back and forth between the server is not encrypted. So if someone is able to intercept that data, they'll be able to read and understand it. If it's encrypted, they won't be able to do anything useful with it. To make the change, I recommend watching the PuTTY install video as a prerequisite, since you will need to copy some files to the server using PuTTY. So for this guide, I'm using the Zombox. This is the VirtualBox distribution of the ServerJockey system. So because I'm using Zombox, I need to go in and turn on SSH because by default it's off. So the login is Zombox. The password is also Zombox. Because SSH is disabled, it's safe to just have the password the same. So if you are using the Zombox and you do want to connect with SSH over the internet, you should change the password. So I'll just sudo systemctl start SSH. So that enables the service. So now, in order to get HTTP working, I need a certificate and a private key. So if you know how to create these, go ahead and make your own and use them. However, for this guide, I'll be using a self-signed certificate and private key. To do that, I'll use this website, which I'll leave the link in the description. It allows me to generate a self-signed certificate and key. It's worth reading this page. If you don't know much about certificates, I'll explain a bit more about them at the end as well. So all you need to do is enter a site name, which is the domain name. If you don't have a domain name, that's fine. You can enter whatever you want. For this one, I'll do dev.serverjockey.local and hit generate SSL. This is the certificate, which I'll download, and the private key, which I will download. Now these should be saved to my temp folder. So now I need to rename these files to serverjockey.crt and serverjockey.key, because the ServerJockey system will look for the files by these names. So now I have a command box ready in the temp directory. Now I will use PuTTY secure copy. So this should be in the path if you've done a standard install of PuTTY. So you can run PuTTY and get the version. So it's working. So the commands to copy the files to the server have prepared already. So I'll just copy the CRT file. And the key. So the command to upload them is PuTTY secure copy, serverjockey.key, the name of the user, at IP address, then the file at the destination. Now, I just need to move the files on the server to the correct location. So we can see the files in here now. I'll switch to superuser. Now change into the directory of ServerJockey Game Management System, so SJGMS. So this is the home directory for ServerJockey. I just need to place the files here. The CRT file, move it to here, and the key file. Now, I also just need to change the permissions and the owner and group. So they'll be the same as the other files in this directory. And chmod 400, so they are readable and not writable. So that is all correct now. In order to take effect, you can restart the ServerJockey service or reboot the machine. I think I'll reboot. Now that the machine has restarted, you can see in the console the address for the web app now begins with HTTPS, so we know the change has been successful. I'll just close a bunch of stuff. I already have a bookmark for the HTTPS address. Now, when you first go to the website using HTTPS, expect a warning like this. It will look different depending on the type of browser that you're using. This is because I'm using a self-signed certificate and the domain does not match. You should also have an option to bypass this. Here I can accept the risk and continue. So now we can see it works fine. I just need to log in. There we go. Shows HTTPS and there's the lock icon. So it says down here, technical details. The page you are viewing was encrypted before being transmitted over the internet. So now we can see with HTTPS, the encryption is now working. So I just wanted to end the video with some information on certificates, because I didn't want to instruct people to ignore browser security warnings without explaining what's going on. HTTPS serves two purposes. It encrypts data transferred between the browser and server. This makes the data unusable to anyone able to intercept it. The other purpose is to ensure that the website you are connected to is actually who they claim to be. This is done by having a certificate signed by an independent third party called a certificate authority. The certificate authority makes sure they only provide a certificate to the actual owner of the domain and website. This is why a self-signed certificate or a mismatched domain name will result in security warnings. If you think it's necessary to have a proper certificate for HTTPS, you'll first need to rent a domain name from a domain name provider. One example being GoDaddy. Once you have the domain, you will need to configure it to point to the public IP address of the web app. You will then need a signed certificate from a certificate authority. Let's Encrypt is an example of a certificate authority. It's a not-for-profit, so it won't cost you any money. So that's it for this video.